Hello, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Allison, and I've been gone for a while. I've also tried to film this video like 7 times in the past like 3 weeks, and it hasn't worked. So we're getting to it, and it's gonna get done right now. Where have I been? In January, I got in a car accident. I got a new car. I started school. I started a new job, and I started boxing again, which is the topic of today's video. I just wanted to talk a little bit about like my past with boxing and where I want to go with it, and how it intertwines with what I want to post on YouTube. So to start back when I was 14 turning 15, I convinced my parents to let me start boxing, and I started out doing mainly Muay Thai, and then like one day a week was just boxing, and I remember that being the hardest one, like the hardest day of the week. It was on a Saturday. I'll never forget my coach. Oh, he was crazy. um so I started boxing, and I was super consistent from like 14 to 17, and then I got pulled into like the dating and the stuff you're not supposed to do in high school, but you do it anyway in high school. That stuff. Um, and boxing was kind of like on the sidelines, even though it shouldn't have been. It should have been my top priority. But when you're that young, I think it can be hard to just keep it as a priority. But anyway, so then in 2018, I moved down to Newport Beach, and I was training out there for a little bit. I was there for 1 semester of college, and then I moved back home. And then I was still with one of my exes, and then we broke up at the end of that year, and I got really back into boxing because that's when I was diagnosed with depression. That's okay. So I was boxing a lot, and then I wanted to compete, and then the beginning of 2020, I remember I was like so close to being at weight, like I probably could have lost that weight in like 2 days. But COVID hit. During COVID, I wasn't boxing as much until later in the year, but I was still like working out pretty consistently. So I was still working out consistently, and then I got accepted into Cal State LA. And even though everything was online, I made the decision to go move down to LA. And after a few months, my dad was like, "Hey, you can move out to Florida if you want. Like you don't have to pay rent or anything." So like, why wouldn't I? So I went to Florida, and that was in November of 2020. And then so I was boxing out there. I had dropped out of school actually, and was only like working on boxing. And then July 2021, I got pregnant with my son. And so I had stopped boxing. I worked out pretty much throughout my whole pregnancy, not as intense though. I probably boxed like once or twice during the pregnancy. And then April 2022, no, so I got pregnant in July, moved home in October, I believe. And then in April 2022, I had my son, and after the 2 months or the 6 weeks or whatever, I was cleared to work out, and I didn't like go slowly into working out. Don't suggest that. So 2 months after I started boxing again, like full on training, and then so when my son was 10 months old, I competed, and after I competed, I remember going back to my cousin's house and being like, I think I'm done. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. But I think it was mainly because of mom guilt, and someone had told me previously that I would probably put the sport above my child. And like when you hear that stuff, it stays in your head. It doesn't go away. Um, and then also, I didn't let my body heal completely from pregnancy, which I think we're there now. But anyway, I had told my cousin, like, I think I'm done. And then I went home and I remember taking the week off and being like, yeah, I'm done. So I told my coach that I was done, and that was hard. Um, but while I was on my hiatus, I went to aesthetic school and I started working, and then I went back to school. Um, I'm taking prereqs right now, but in so I took 2 years off. So about a year and probably 9 months in, I was like, bro, something's wrong. Like, this isn't me. I was super angry all the time again, which is how I was before I started boxing. And like, I just wanted to like be the best version of myself with becoming the best mom that I could be. And like, honestly, without boxing, it's not gonna happen. And like, obviously, that's not for everybody, but like for me, I needed my thing, and boxing was my thing. Um, so I remember I made the decision. I was like, okay, I want to go back, and it wasn't to like compete or anything, but I was like, all right, we're gonna do that. And then in January, I had scheduled to get my tonsils removed, so I was like, all right, we'll wait until after surgery, and then I'll start back up. So in January, I got my tonsils out, and I started boxing again. And then in February, I remember my nephew and I, we were watching a UFC fight, and I was like, dang, I need to do this again. Like, for real, for real. And so I texted my coach, and I was like, can I compete again? And he said, yeah. And then, so the goal was to do it in August because there was a fight that I wanted to, or like an event that I wanted to be a part of. But honestly, I didn't take the initiative to try to lose the weight that I had gained. So we are not doing that. August is next month. That is not happening. I have lost some weight, just not enough. But recently I've realized like, okay, I need to change like what I'm doing if I do want to do this, and it is something that I want to do. Competing's always been a dream of mine, and like, yeah, I've done it, but like to fully do it, like be competing like once a month or like every other month, like that's the goal. Um, so I am committing to doing it, which means I'm going to be in the gym, in the boxing gym, running, eating well, and the point of this video is I want to take everybody along with me on my journey. So at first it is going to be more like a weight loss journey. And then once I am lower weight, it'll probably be like fight camp type stuff. Along with that though, I do still want to make vlogs with Ace, and what made me realize that was like we were watching videos just on my phone, Ace and I, this morning actually, and I was like, oh, like I could show him the vlogs that I made, and I started showing him, and he was so excited and so happy. So I'm definitely gonna start doing that again. So I think I'm gonna do 2 videos a week, one being more training based and one being more family based. Um, but yeah, I'm excited to do this and bring you guys along with me. So if you'd like to see the journey and follow along, go subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!